I'm Liz Christy. I'm a textile designer and hand weaver. I make scarves, throws and wraps here in my studios, Swallow Studios, outside Castleblaney in County Monaghan. Now, what influenced me to become a craftsperson and make a career for myself in the world of craft was a combination of things. My father was a shoemaker, so I believe that it's in my blood, the genes to be always doing something with my hands. And there was a lady who lived next door to me. She was called Molly, and she was a dressmaker. And while my mother would work in the local apple peeling factory, Molly used to look after me some evenings. And I can remember sitting on the floor and freeing out the pieces of scraps of the fabric. And I can remember seeing how they interlocked and being fascinated by that. I didn't know then that I'd end up being a weaver, of course, but that I can still remember the colour in those fabrics, and that has always stayed with me, so I would always think of her as my inspiration. My work is inspired by Claude Monet's Impressionist paintings. I have liked Monet since I was a student in Castleblaney, and when I went off to college and I went off to do art and design, and I found that all my projects were done through the medium of textile, so that was the obvious way that I was going to go. And I loved painting, design for print, but I found that I had a great feeling then, eventually, for weaving. But when I came out of college, I set up my workshop in Castleblaney. I set the loom up, and eventually I bought in a batch of yarn. So the yarn came in, and it was on the floor in my studio, and I thought, what am I going to do now? I kind of panicked, and I thought, calm down, Liz, go back and find your inspiration the way you did when you were in college. So I had bought a Monet book, and I took that out and I started to match up some of the colours to some of the paintings, hence the Monet inspiration. Design is very important in the creation of my hand-woven textiles. I combine designing on the loom and on paper. My colours are inspired by Monet's paintings, so I'm surrounded by books and various different calendars and everything with images of Monet's paintings. And I get my yarn in, and I take the yarn from the comb based on what I see in the paintings. So it's very much that the warp is inspired by the paintings. And then the warp goes onto the loom, and then I become a painter with thread. I also hand dye some of my yarns, and I love that randomness that the hand-dyed yarns give me. And I also think it reflects the Impressionism in Monet's paintings as well. So my designs are very much a combination of the warp that is pre-designed, and then the painting with thread as I weave the weft through. So I always kind of weave in a loose way, so that when the fabric comes off the loom and is washed, which is called the finishing process, it is soft and drapes, and that's why it's suitable for wearing as a scarf or to be made up into garments. What I love most about finishing a piece is the satisfaction of seeing somebody wearing it. Seeing somebody that you don't know who has parted with their hard-earned cash to buy a piece of your work. It's an amazing feeling, really. I always feel that when somebody buys craft, they're buying a part of the person who made it, because most craft people are very passionate about what they do. And I think it's a great compliment when somebody does that, you know, to buy a piece of your work. So one of the nicest compliments I had from a customer was just a few weeks ago. I was at a craft fair, and she came in and she saw a very unusual scarf, and she said that just would make me smile. And she bought it, she took it down and tried it on, and she put it around her, and she said, yes, that'll make me smile every time I put it on. So that was a lovely compliment to get.